Hi there and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be talking about L.E. Modesitt Jr.'s The Spellsong War, which is the second book in the Spellsong cycle. But before we get into that, as always, please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when new videos come on out. Leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I always answer. And spread the word. It helps me out, and it might help me reach more people in talking about these books that I just really enjoy talking about them. So the Spellsong War, which continues on from the Sorceress Soprano. At this point, Anna is regent of Defalk, for the most part. There are a few lords who are still holding out, who don't respect her because she's a woman. They don't respect the fact that a woman can rule, and that in some of the other places where she has gone, she's left women to rule until their heirs are old enough. And she's also named an heir as a female as ruler of that land. So the theme behind this book really is that it seems to be the only way to prove a point, the only way to get things done, the only way to solve things, at least in this world, and you can maybe argue it in ours as well, is through violence and war. And this is done more from a feminine perspective. Ellie, this is considered a feminist fantasy. And, obviously Ellie Modesitt Jr. is a man, but I think he captures it pretty well. And the key really is, the thing that I love is how we get in her head when she says one thing and then her mind thinks something else. And she kind of does these like little one-person debates and can't seem to win. It's like I always say, I can have a one-person debate and lose. But the problems that she has is trying to just unite Defalk, the land, Defalk in Erda, Leadvar. And there are three lords who are basically holding out, and they're getting help from Lord Erhoff, which is from Dumaria. And Anna knows she's going to have to do something about Dumaria eventually. But the first thing she's got to do is she's got to take care of the lands within Defalk and uniting them and taking those on. And the ones that will, pledge allegiance, basically, who can, she saves the keeps. She doesn't destroy. She doesn't do the mass killing. She says, you will swear allegiance to the Regency, to me, and to Lord Jim Bob when he becomes of age, because he's going to be the one that's going to rule all of Defalk. And what we find is there are a couple in this book who just don't, they can't. And they can't, they just really can't get through their heads that, there's a woman involved here. And it's interesting how the men see her. Stromver is one, and she has to deal with them. And the way she has to deal with that is by, at least killing the Lord there, because he is so opposed to her that he will not, he will not accept her at all. and his wife, who was held prisoner, is sent back, but she's basically had the allegiance spell thrown on her by Anna, and so she can't say anything bad about Anna, and this puts her in really poor grace with her husband, because he obviously can't stand her. Wendella, Lord Denser basically just like whips her. I don't want to say to a pulp. I mean, he does a lot of damage to her, and he keeps her locked up. And Anna has to go in to Devar and take out Denser and all those who would follow Denser and oppose her. She keeps Lady Wendella alive. She doesn't like her. Lady Wendella doesn't like her, but she's got the allegiance spell on her. So there's the obedience spell. So Anna knows she can't oppose me. She will now be the ruler until her son is of age, of Stromver. So that's one problem that gets taken care of. But the problem is it seems like there's more and more and more and more, and then we start to learn of a sorcerer who is in Pammer, which is one of the early ones that was kind of brought back into the fold. And there's a sorcerer that's basically bringing in men in very, very small groups, like almost one or two at a time. And he's doing dark spell magic on them and saying that we are not going to follow the orders of any women at all. None. And he understands that the dark song magic, it takes something out of you. And that's why he's doing it in small bits. This is going to be one of those problems that are going to linger into book 3. Because she has seen the sorceress when she scribes. But she doesn't know where he is. She doesn't know he's in Pammer. She just knows he's somewhere in the east. The bulk of this book, really, is her dealing with Dumaria and the Lord of Dumaria. And there's some games that are played back and forth. She sends a scroll to that Lord and says, look, you've been sending people here. You, Ahara, have been sending armsmen into Defalk to sow unrest. Therefore, you must pay us tribute for that. And it's 2,000 golds that she asks for. And Ahara's like, no. He sends a scroll back saying, not only aren't we going to do that, but you need to pay us back. You can't rule your own country. That's on you. So Anna sees this as she doesn't have a whole lot of choices. Nobody's leaving her any kind of choices. She's giving everybody else chances to make good choices, but nobody's giving her the chance to make the logical decision, the decision that makes sense, the peaceful decision. It all has to be done through violence. And this is the thing that she can't seem to understand, and that just nobody will listen to her. The men won't listen, the women won't listen, and she's like, is it this way everywhere? That violence is the only way to solve problems. And it appears, at least in Erda, which is the world of the Spellsong cycle, it is. It's the only way that men, lords, will accept any kind of honor You don't get it through just surrendering. You don't get it through not fighting or bloodshed. And that's the thing that she can't understand is, you know, whether the men die through my spells or whether they die through the sword or the lance, what's the difference? They're still dead. Why is there less honor in one and more honor in the other? And this is just the thing that she can't understand. She can't grip it. And Lord Jex and some of her other closest advisors are just like, this is the way it is. And, it's the way it was, basically, you could say, in, the old medieval times here on Earth, which is where really Erda is, basically sort of fastened on medieval Earth. Anna almost dies a few times doing some big dark spell songs. And the other thing that she finds is she has to eat a ton to keep up the strength of being able to do spells. It requires a lot of energy, like a lot of calories and carbohydrates and all of that. So she's eating 2-3 times the amount that, like, the nobility around her are eating. And she's like, before I used to have to, like, watch my figure going this way. Now I have to watch it going this way, and I have to eat more, and it's weird. So there's these little themes that keep popping up. The biggest one, again, is just, why does violence have to be the thing that sorts it, that solves everything? She drives out the sea priest from Jureston, who comes from a land where they chain women, and she really doesn't like that. And she takes him out. She saves Dumaria, in a sense. And at this point, Yahara has already fled. He's already retreating from Dumaria and going the other way. And he's taken his eldest son with him. So when Anna calls Siobian, who is Ihara's consort, in, and basically says, who are your kin? Who are your kids? Don't make me, I can either force it out of you or we just round them all up. And she finally says, my oldest is with his father, and she names them out. And she has him bring in the next oldest one, and Siobian is thinking, she's going to kill him. And she's terrified. And she's like, no, I'm not, you know this land. She's like, I don't. I just want to go back to Falcor. I want to go back to where I've been away from for too long. And you will run the land until your son is old enough, till he reaches the age that he will then run the land. But it will be done also under one of my people, who is an armsman, who I leave behind. You will have to listen to him. That's part of the allegiance. That's part of, your pledge to me, is to listen to him and not go against him. So that's kind of what she does. And, this series so far is through the first 2 books. It hasn't even gone quite 2 years yet. And she's united all of the folk. And she has taken Dumaria. And the people around her are saying, this hasn't been done in like centuries, and it hasn't been done this fast. It's taken people years to just unite the folk, let alone go and take Dumar as well. And she's not proud of it, or at least she doesn't want to be proud of it. Like, she's starting to think, am I becoming a military type? Am I, I didn't ask for this, but now that I'm here, am I starting to like this? And it's kind of scarier. And well, the other thing that comes up is because she's a woman, and whenever she poses any kind of her own thought or will, she's seen as bitchy. So Wendella actually is the one that coins the phrase the bitchy sorceress. So, why not? Anna adopts that. And she even admits at times, sorry, I'm being bitchy. But then, she's like, why am I apologizing? I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I always apologizing? Nobody's apologizing to me. I'm doing all the apologizing, and I'm the regent. I'm the one with the power. That shouldn't be. But it is. And, it's just, it's so, it's, to me, this is like such a different kind of series. The fact that, again, the spells are done using song. And for a lot of the spells in the beginning, she uses her lutar, which is sort of the half lute, half guitar. But she finds that she can't keep doing that, especially for the big spells. She needs players for that. So when you see the cover, which is just off to the side of me here, you see the players. The players add more energy to the spell. And it's going to take less from Anna, but it's also going to take a bit from the players. Not as much as from her, but they will feel the effects, especially if it's a dark song spell. They will feel very fatigued. Anna, when she does dark spells, she sees, she has double vision. She sees two of everything. She's got like anvils pounding in her head. And the difference between the two is there's there's a dark song, and there's the light song, and there's the two moons that sort of bring them together. And the one light song deals really with things that aren't living. So you're manipulating like dirt, or things that were never alive, inanimate objects, basically. So it doesn't take as much away because you're not really you're not messing with anybody's will. Dark Song, however, does affect other people. So like whenever Anna calls like the fire spell, the battle song, that's not Dark Song because it's not affecting other people. It's not making somebody change their will. It's an attack. Dark Song is like the obedience spell, like what she does to Wendella, and what the sorcerer and Pammer is doing by imposing your will on theirs. And sometimes somebody's will can be so strong set against the spell that they just die. One of the lords does that in the book. He's so against listening to a woman and being bound by a woman that he keels over and dies. So that's when Anna really realizes, I gotta watch what I do here. And I don't want to I don't want to have like a whole country behind me through that forced obedience. Even though I have to use a different kind of force to get them to understand anyway. The violence needs to be there first. Like, I can't, she finds it weird that, I can send massive amounts of fire and do massive amounts of death and destruction, and I'll feel pretty good physically. But if I try to do it through Dark Song and try to appeal to their logic, to their sense, to their reason, then I feel like crap afterwards. Or like she would say, like shit. To quote. And she can't understand this either. It's like, again, why is violence the answer? Again, the theme. one of the interesting chapters comes at the end of the book when there's Ranuak, which is basically the big trade market. It's run by the matriarch. And her daughter, who is a seer, basically has been against Anna the whole time. She's been trying to rail the matriarch, saying, why are you like supporting her at every turn? Why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you doing this? She, the Defalkians, Anna wants to buy these 300 swords that are going for sale. And Varia, the daughter of the matriarch in Ranuak, says, no, well, I'll buy those and give them to the southern women and start a battle over there in Ebro because there's a civil war going on. So the matriarch is like, well, you don't seem to understand that the sorceress, Anna, doesn't do anything that she wouldn't expect anyone else to do. If nobody else will do it, then she's not going to ask, if she wouldn't do it, then she's not going to ask anybody else to do it. She puts herself out there first. And she takes the brunt of the payment. Where Varia has set in motion things that she has not had any experience on. And the matriarch uses Darksong on her daughter. And her daughter hates Darksong. And she's like, really? You're going to use Darksong on me? And basically, it says, she's like, yeah. She's like, go now, go and fight for all you said is right. She's got no choice now. She has to go fight. And that's where Ranuak ends. Jex is healing from a burnt spear, so he's getting better. They're working their way back toward Dumaria, and then they're going to go back to Falcor. At least that's the plan, because she has no idea what's going on over there. Scrolls and that have stopped coming, so she has no idea what's going on there. Is everything okay? And obviously, she doesn't know. Basically, Pammer, what's going on there? She knows there's a sorcerer there doing something out there, but she doesn't know exactly where. So where does this book lie? 657 pages. I think the Defalkian part, they're chasing him for a long time. It probably could have been a little bit shorter there, but I still find this series so interesting right now that I give it 5 stars. Like I did the Soprano Sorceress. I'm looking forward to book 3 of 5, and to see just what Anna has to face next. So yeah, 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend this series so far to anyone. So again, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos come on out. Also, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. I always respond back. And, spread the word. It helps me out. It's easy, and it helps me out. So, yeah, with that, as always, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.